when I started fasting, I just got this insatiable hunger for just knowledge, wanting to know things that other people didn't know. We go into the hospital to have some removed, only to know that the foods that we're eating was the reason we were there. So I started giving her different foods. I started giving her things that were more alkaline. And I wanted to know more information than anybody, because information is a commodity. I just wanted to know more than everybody else. I thought my enemies was gonna come from out there, but they were the people that was around me for 20 plus years. I'm relentless. You can't tell me no. I don't understand what no means. I'm gonna keep going till I get what I'm looking for. It does not take money to make money. It takes a made up mind to make money. Hi, I'm Ralph Malone, and this is my journey.
I know it's been a lot of speculation about my retirement and what I plan on doing next. And you know, throughout my life, I faced many obstacles. The road has not always been clear. During those tough times, I felt alone. But I prayed and I asked God for strength. In my turmoil, God reached out to me and it revealed whatever I was going through was a part of my true destiny. It was at that moment I made a decision to stop getting in the way of God's plans, because my true story of my destination was my journey.
Ralph Malone is a man who began his quest to seek information that would help his daughter after being diagnosed with having a tumor on her kidney. What Ralph did not expect was that through the knowledge he gained, his mind opened to a new way of perceiving life.
I probably had over 3,500 books that I had just collected and just started reading and studying. Just gaining knowledge about different things. It just, when I started fasting, I just got this insatiable hunger for just knowledge, wanting to know things that other people didn't know. So I just went on this quest, learning. And at this time, they transferred my daughter to Birmingham, and they had a better center there for what she was going through. So we would go frequent in and out of there. Now, mind you, the whole time my daughter had this catheter in her body the whole while. Just watching her go through that process, it did something to me. I learned about life and why, your purpose of being here, and what are you doing here? Why you come here? And I just had all these questions, because when you see a child go through that, like when I watch athletes deal with their children that have certain illnesses, I'm not like everybody else with it. It does something, because I got a personal connection to it. That's really, really, really painful, really painful.
As Ralph continued to be the strength for his daughter during her recovery, he was unfortunately presented with the news of another family member passing.
At that time, I was dealing with the loss of my grandmother. And my grandma was the only person that saw what would eventually become what I am now. She used to always say, he's special, and y'all gonna see what God showed me about him. I sure wish I had the opportunity to speak to her as a man about what I would face, because she was so wise. And my grandma was I used to always ask her questions about the Bible and God and church. But my grandmother knew things that you can't explain in a book. But But I was reading and she knew I was reading. She knew I was studying and she knew I was on this journey, like searching and looking for something. So all of these books that I was reading and studying were like faith-based books. And when they really say that your knowledge will keep you, it actually will. Because later on in life, those things that I learned from those books, I started to use those things later. But as far as the knowledge, during the times of fasting and reading and studying and learning I mean, this was repetitive. People thought I was a recluse or something, like I was crazy, because I wanted to know. I wanted to know. Every time I was on the brink of something happening, why would this other thing happen? Like, it's like winning the lottery and losing the ticket. You know what I mean? So eventually, my daughter began to get better because of things that I was doing, you know, as far as her food. And it's no knock to the hospital or anything like that. We go into the hospital to have some removed, only to know that the foods that we're eating was the reason we were there.
With the knowledge he gained, Ralph took it upon himself to help his daughter in an unexpected way.
So I started giving her different foods. I started giving her things that were more alkaline, changing her diet, making the food and bringing it myself. And man, her improvement went through the roof. And when I say through the roof, her body started changing just from the alkalinity that was in the food. Because I would administer herbs, like I make a salad and I would put different supplements in the salad that would assist her immune system. And just sitting watching her change right before my eyes. And then her mother got into it. At first she wasn't hearing that because, you know, she was medically trained. But after she started seeing what was happening, she came on board with it. I remember the day that they took the catheter out of my daughter. We had this party, me, her and her mom. We had a party. And before I moved, we kept the catheter because that's the thing you administer the chemo through. We had a party the day that they removed it. Because at one point I didn't think that, they didn't even think that she was gonna make it. But she did. And at this time I had learned so much about foods and fruits and vegetables and herbs and different things, even that the Bible mentioned that we should be taking for meat and nourishment. The things that will heal the body, we don't use that. So I started learning, mountains of information about what you can do to cleanse your system just to remove waste alone. When you remove waste from your body, you add years to your life because your waistline is your lifeline. Where you have waste around your waistline, we think that's a jean size. No, that's literally a waistline. That's where the trash and the debris is. Well, once I learned how you actually remove that and remove mucus, acid, and plaque from your system, I had actually started this little company with $100. Not to mention, when I started going through my reading phase and learning phase, all the monies that I had accumulated, I started giving it away. I was just giving it to people. Like I had closets for my shoes only. I cleared all of that stuff out. I was giving it away to people, just giving them different things out of my closet, stuff that I had never worn before, because I wanted to get rid of things that I had gotten through ill-gotten gains. And what I knew about God was, in order to build a house, you have to have a blueprint. And your thoughts are your blueprint. And in order to build that house, if you're not thinking about nothing, that's like a city or a person without a vision. So your thoughts are your blueprint. And I wanted to see what my thoughts could pay me, as opposed to what I was doing through my hustle. And as I said, I really renewed my mind by reading all of these books. And when I gave all of the material things away, like the clothes and the shoes and the jewelry, I gave a lot of that stuff. I gave it all away. Literally not really having anything left. So I had to go through this process where I lost all of that stuff. Most of it, I gave it away. But when I got down to like my house, and it was crazy because I almost lost my house to like foreclosure. But I started fasting. And I was like, somebody's gonna come by this house. I had literally 17 days before the house actually went into foreclosure. This guy came and bought the house. And he knew that the house was actually gonna be in foreclosure. He didn't have to give me anything. But he told me, he said, man, I like you, man. He said, my lawyer told me to wait. He said, no, but I told that guy I like him. And he literally cut me a check, and that $17,000 in equity was what I had. That $17,000 from the sale of the house. I took that money and lived on that money for a little while, eventually losing that. Because if you're not making any more money to actually put in and you constantly putting out, you lose it. Well, over time, I came up with this plan. Now, I still have my dream with my company that I'm starting this thing. I don't have no money to do nothing, but I got this drive in me to want to help people. And I think I got up on like maybe $100, if 100. And what I did was, my grandma used to say all the time, son, if you figure out who runs this world, you're gonna be okay. And I used to say, what do you mean by that? She used to say, well, God made it where you easy on the eyes, son. And I'm like, what does that mean? I eventually found women's accessories, from makeup to shoes to bags to clothes, and started selling it to women. And that's how I raised my fund, because nobody wouldn't give us nothing. Nobody wouldn't give us anything. So I just started getting in the streets, and while I was hustling the women's accessories, I was actually getting clients for juicing at the same time. Well, fast forward, I would go to Mississippi, and from Mississippi to here, I went 10 years straight, never missed a weekend. Did you hear what I said, man? 10 years of traveling from Atlanta to Mississippi. That's how hungry I was, that nobody was gonna out hustle me with what I was doing. I never missed a weekend. Right now, as I'm sitting in front of you now, I've never missed a weekend in Mississippi for 10 years straight. That's how hungry I am, and it ain't going nowhere. But I didn't put that drive there. That's something that came directly from God. and it ain't going away. So I took that $100, turned it. This is legitimate. This was nothing that I was doing that was ill-gotten. It's legitimate. I took that $100, turned that $100 into $100,000. Then that $100,000 turned into something else. And once I got to like 250, this is how I funded what I wanted to do. To take $100 and turn it into a multi-million-dollar situation where you attract big box stores to come to you. That's unheard of without any help from anybody, just the internet. Just building it step by step by step. And do you know, I lost my wife. I lost everybody that I thought would be with me just going through this process. Everybody left. And what's so crazy is the monies and all of the blessings started coming when they left, when I was by myself. Like to this day, she doesn't even know the things that I have. She has no idea. She just jumped ship and left. Nobody even knows that. Like she doesn't know about the deals in place, none of that. But she didn't believe in it. Well, I guess when you building something from the floor, they just think that Walmart started and it was 15,000 stores right out the bat. It didn't happen like that. It took time. Mr. Walmart started with one store in Bentonville, Arkansas. But people don't know nothing about that. So as I was saying to you, the knowledge that I had acquired, it helped me later on down the line with business. And I didn't even know that that's what I was eventually going to turn it into. I had no idea. I was just wanting to learn. I just wanted to have information. I wanted to know more information than anybody because information is a commodity. I just wanted to know more than everybody else. But I never had any idea or clue that it would eventually turn into a juice cleanse. I had no idea. But I work with a lot of people. And due to the fact that I don't have permission to mention anybody, but they know that I work with a lot of people, which led from this person to that person to this person and that. I mean, I didn't get here by myself, even to sit here to talk to you. I didn't put myself here. Somebody else saw what I was doing and thought that it was special enough to be here in front of you. Was it hard? Of course it was hard. But the journey of that hardness is what made it what it was. You go from rental cars. Like when I was saying I was going to Mississippi every weekend for 10 years straight, I started from rental cars. Getting a rental car every week, going to Mississippi, to now having a fleet of Mercedes trucks to eventually do it. And we've done it all debt free. Well, we don't owe nobody nothing for it. But that come from that information I was telling you about, learning and studying and reading. And I learned all of this by going through that process with my daughter. Now, I don't regret, having to go that route. I think that it's so much that we don't understand and know about the mental. But once I started learning about that, I understood that that was my blueprint, because we all looking for this somebody to help us. We are looking for this thing to help us when it's right inside of you. And that's the most important thing that I learned from my baby, like what's inside of me.
Looking back over his life, Ralph figured out a way to take his strategies from the street and use them to create a brighter future for him and his family.
I used that hustle that I did in the streets, ill-gotten, to do it for something that was absolutely correct. And you don't have to have nothing or know somebody to put you on. On social media, a lot of people that are actually in position shame people on social media because they have a few more dollars or a connection. You don't have to have any of that. If you patient, I've seen a drip of water dent the concrete. Just one drip of water dent the concrete from being consistent and persistent. And if I knew that that could dent that concrete, just imagine what I could do. And that's the same mentality I've been using over and over. Just as you have people that you think that are gonna support you. I thought my enemies was gonna come from out there, but they were the people that was around me for 20 plus years. And I'm like, how could you change on me? You know me. But I guess that's where your greatest test come from. It's from the people that know you so well. I think what makes my journey unique is that through what I thought was seemingly the absolute worst, I didn't know that it had something in it for me. I didn't think that it was for me, but it was as if though God was saying to me the whole while, your daughter came through you, but she's not yours, to teach me something. And it changed my life. And when I say it changed my life, I have never been the same since. I've never gone back to the streets. I've never used drugs. Being an athlete, I never wanted to use drugs. But the most unique thing is how it got my attention. And I don't regret it because it taught me something. And did it teach me a hard-earned lesson that I use in business right now. I'm relentless. You can't tell me no. I don't understand what no means. I'm gonna keep going till I get what I'm looking for. It does not take money to make money. It takes a made-up mind to make money. Every morning I'm up at 3:30 jogging. I've been doing it for 20 years. That's my time I take with myself to meditate. That's my time I take to put my plan together. And I notice everything that I put out there, I've walked into and experienced. That's why I said my blueprint is my thoughts. And God can only work through your thoughts. And if we don't understand nothing, nobody teaches us nothing about our minds. We don't know nothing. You hear people say, if you put your mind to it, you could do it. But I needed to know more than that. What is the mind? Where is it? How can I go find it? Who is he? Where is he? And then somebody introduced me to it and told me what it was. And I hadn't looked back since then. I don't care what idea you give me, I can bring it into manifestation. Not of my own power. I just know that the Father works through my thoughts. So I'm careful at every moment what I'm thinking, what I'm imagining. And television causes you to be your own warden. You put yourself in prison by seeing these things on television and seeing all the bad. And you don't know that. You don't know that you're putting your own self in prison. Life is a joke to a man that knows how to think. And we don't know. We have no clue. And that's not to say prayer is repetition to yourself. And when you actually believe in what you're saying, it happens immediately. So, like I was saying, people try to shame you to make you feel, oh, You not in Whole Foods or you not here, we make more money doing it ourselves. We figured out logistics. We can ship anywhere in the country at any time. We figured it out. As a matter of fact, we have big box stores calling us. We hadn't begged nobody for anything. But I figured out the mental aspect of it. When you feel you need somebody, you do need them. But when you feel they need you, they need you. It's that simple. What I do with this company is for my kids, so they don't have to go through what I went through. One thing somebody said to me was, when you play ball, your time is limited playing ball. You may play 10 years, you may play basketball 20 years. Some sports you may play 5, 7. But the sport of business, you can play even in death through your kids, through your grandkids. The sport can still go on even while you're long gone. And once somebody relayed that to me, I was all right with making the transition from sports.
After turning his life completely around to becoming an accomplished businessman, Ralph celebrates one of his daughter's most successful achievements.
My baby is a freshman at Troy University. Hadn't had anything to come. She do follow-ups. Sometimes she get a little nervous. That's just what life does to you. See, when you're a kid, you resilient. You don't know nothing about pain. You go. You know, kids, they don't know no. You can't tell them no, and they don't know no pain. But she's healthy. She's doing what young people do. And that's just, I think, her mother has married, and at her graduation, she hugged me and said, "We did it. We actually did it." And we did. We raised a child that a lot of people had given up on. And to see her as a freshman in college, when you see what I'm talking about, you would, it's wow, it's amazing, man.
On the next, The Journey with LaMarr Woodley.
The mind is really interested in how it can really suppress, how you can suppress things, and it can almost like it never happened, so that you can deal with life and go on. I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was when I turned 21, and I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna live it up, and I didn't come home. It's good to be able to use my story. If I had to do it all over again, I would.